Hey guys. So this week I worked on the agility attribute, and the previous weeks I worked on strength, spirit, and this week would be agility. So in this game, agility is going to increase the player's movement speed as well as the action speed um, of attacking, mining, wood cutting, and also the actual player's movement speed. In addition, we have the critical hit damage, which it's going to multiply the actual damage of critical strikes. So some games have it, critical strikes are double. This one will have a certain uh, multiplier that will increase the damage. And this applies to spells as well as melee combat. Agility is also going to affect the maximum amount of energy that could be stored down here in this yellow bar. Right now I have it set to 300, which is going to be very high. The player has to be a high level to actually get this. Normally they're going to start off with 15. And finally, as I mentioned before, the speed, which increases the action speed and movement speed. So before I go into the testing part of this, let me just pull up some of the scripts just to explain how things work. So for the combat side of things, I had to adjust the animation speed so it actually factors in the player's current speed. So rather than um, just changing the colliders, I also had to change the actual speed at which the animation plays. So for the sword attacks or mining or running, so that was the first factor. And then each of my attacks are coroutines. So I have a certain trigger that triggers the collider after a certain number of seconds, but the collider window has to be different depending on the speed. So the window has to be smaller to to get triggered when the player is actually attacking. Otherwise, the collider might miss or might trigger too early. So I did some tweaking here, and I will have to do some in the future, but for now it's set up to wait a certain number of seconds, minus whatever the current player's speed is, and then same thing for the colliders. So this part here is where the longer this is, the longer the collider stays as a trigger. So I have to do some adjusting with this, but this is how it's currently set up. Now for the actual uh, the spells, they're set up in a certain similar way where the animation is um, sped up as well, and it's based on the player current speed. So when you play the spell animation, it's set to the animation speed is equal to 1 plus the current speed. So the faster the speed, the faster you're able to cast spells. Finally, I'll just go into the weapon collider. So the weapon collision check is where it factors in the critical chance. So the damage here is done based on 1 plus whatever the player stats plus current critical hit damage. So if the critical hit damage is 0, it's just going to do normal damage on a crit. Right now I have it set so the base critical hit damage is going to be 0.5, and that's without including any agility. So the player always will be doing 50% more damage if they have 0 agility. They start off with 15, so they're always going to have more than 50% per crit. And this is basically how the damage is factored in for the critical hit damage. And then the max energy, not too interesting. It's just adding to the base max energy. Obviously, you're going to want that if you're going to be doing more melee combat or mining or wood cutting, any kind of physical attacks are going to use energy. So players are probably going to focus on that stat. Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions on this part, let me know. Now we're just going to get into the testing side of things. All right, guys. So on to the testing phase of agility. So for these tests, I want to make a little bit of an obstacle course, showcasing spells, sword combat, using the pickaxe, and using an axe on each of the different things. So we have a bandit, we have a barrel, we have a ore vein, and we have a tree. So, and I also created a little bit of a timer on top, just for testing. And on the right side, you see damage meter and a critical hit percentage to see how each is affected. So for the first phase, I did 15 agility to see how long that would take. And you can see we're already over a minute just getting through those 4 obstacles, and done at 1 minute and 10 seconds. Next, 150 agility. So you can see the spell casting is already quicker, much quicker than the 15 agility. The movement speed's quicker, and the critical hit damage is already higher. So you're seeing 30 damage critical hits versus 20. And then on the ore, 20, 20, 20, 60. So you got a 300% damage increase pretty much. And you can see that the actual action speed is very, very quick as well. It's already at 50 seconds, and looks like we're going to be under a minute for 150. And then finally, 300 agility, which is very high, very difficult to get to. But these are rapidly shooting fireballs. The movement speed is extremely fast. Hopefully I'll get a crit here. Yep, 41 damage on the crit. And you can see the energy is really not even going down much because he has so much maximum energy. Only at 30 seconds here, and he almost got the tree down. We're at 605 damage. We had 4 critical hits, 20 normal hits, and booking it to the finish line. So overall, it was a good test to see that agility actually does affect not only the movement speed, but also the action speed when you're trying to get through enemies or mines or trees, whatever you choose to do in the game. And this will be true for farming too, when you're tilling soil or watering crops or whatever kind of action speed you need. So that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and next week I'll be focusing on the intellect attribute. See ya.